Hi, good morning to everyone. Now we are studying an essay by Francis Bacon of Studies. I hope all of you have read and studied the first two annotations. The first line itself is the most important one. Do you remember it? Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. That itself is an annotation. Okay. Even in introduction you can say in the essay of Studies, Francis Bacon tells or argues emphatically that studies serve for three things. What are they? Delight, then ornament, and for ability. So we saw some of the use of studies as well as minor disadvantages of spending too much time on studies. And we came to an important line. Do you remember that? Some books are to be tasted, some swallowed, some how it should be chewed and digested. See, some are to be. So we were discussing that annotation. Okay, go through it once again. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. What does it mean? That is, some books are to be read only in parts. Yeah, that is not that much important. Just read an important part or important parts. Others to be read only not by curiously. Some other books are to be read not that serious, not curiously. And some few books to be read wholly with the diligence and attention. Yes, there are some books which are to be read with care and attention. So books are of different types. Some are very important. Some deal with shallow matters. Deep opposite shallow. Not that deep, and we don't need to go through it deep. You can see in your own life. Every day you take the newspaper in the morning. Do you read every line? No. What is important for you, you will concentrate on that. Is it not so? Suppose students, some of them will be or might be interested in sports, they would go directly into the sports page. Some interested in political matters, they will go directly into that. Other, they will skip. Okay, now just turn the page, get the gist of it, summary of it. Not going through it line by line or word by word. Even you can get the gist suddenly or going through it. Skimming and scanning. Okay. Do you remember that? It was there in first year itself. Going through a passage and getting the gist of it. Not going, through every line or every word. Now I remember the words of Abraham Lincoln. Once again. See, once he said, some people read a book, word by word or line by line, and some would read paragraph by paragraph. Very few will read page by page, but I can read volume by volume. What does it mean? What he means is that he will read a book at a time. So when he reads a book at a time together, he may not be reading every word or every line. He would get the meaning of it. Just glance at it and get the idea behind it, the summary behind it, and he would understand that also. And I read in another essay that he had undertaken or he had gone through a speed reading course to read words, in hundreds at a time. So he said, volume is a book at a time. There will be many volumes for one book. There can be. I can read one book at a time. Though it may seem little exaggeration, it is true that he was a wide, voracious reader. Abraham Lincoln. Okay. So I can read volume by volume. So some parts are not that important. Some are very important. So that part you will read with the care and attention. Other things you will just skip it. Okay, now for example, the newspaper Hindu, it may have generally 20-24 pages. If you are going to read it, it will take up to evening to read word by word or line by line. You cannot. So what is important for you? What is, especially editorial and all, you read with care and attention. Other things, maybe advertisements might be there, quite unimportant for you might be there. Those things you will skip it. Just turn the pages. So some books are to be tasted. There are some books which need only to be tasted. Some other books are to be swallowed, just to get the gist of it. There are some few books which are to be chewed and digested. An important annotation, please study it. Yes, there are some books which are to be chewed and digested. What does it mean? I repeat once again. What is that? It means that some books are to be read only in parts, just tasting. Others to be read not curiously. There are some books which are to be read not curiously. Yes, but some books to be read wholly, completely, with diligence and attention, with care and attention. There are some books which are to be read with care and attention. Yes, some books also may be read by deputy, by your assistant. Okay, and extracts made of them by others. Some books, can be read, not only reading, writing, everything can be done by the help of a deputy. Now I remember our John Milton. You see, he was blind. He became blind at the evening of his career, and he was not able to write anything. During those times, this kind of modern facilities like computer recording, nothing was there. He would get up early in the morning, take a bath and pray for some time and sit in his usual chair, and he will utter the words of the poem line by line. His grandchildren will sit down very near to him and write down what he was uttering. Deputy, never deputy, assistant. Okay, na? Yes. So he wrote a poem also on his blindness, an ode on his blindness. Ode means addressal poem. Very important one. Very famous too, on his blindness. He says, it is God's will. You see, they also serve who stand and wait. So it is our mission and we have to fulfill it. Okay, what I am telling is that, what I want to express is that, reading, study. Reading here in the sense study can be done even by the help of deputies. We not read all the books, we not study all the books that we have to study. Less important matters, not a very important one. Okay, now? But that would be only in the less important arguments, less important matters. This deputy can be only in the less important arguments, means important matters. And the meaner sort of books, it can be done only in the case of mean means unimportant sort of things. It can be done in such a way too. Else distilled books are like common distilled waters. Yes, so distilled one, diluted, not the original, not something deep, not something serious. Just like distilled waters, flashy things. Yes, shallow, not deep. So those things can be done by the help of deputies, etc. So books can be read in different ways. Last video I told a book grows exactly according to the growth of a reader's mind. There is a development in the process of reading. There is a development in the process of reading. I mean, a beginner might read something only for entertainment. So slowly he would be able to grasp the depth, the meaning of it. And he would be able to understand deeper level meanings. The more he reads, the more meaning he would be able to understand that. That is why even, Bacon once repeated this. You see, a book grows according to the growth of a reader's mind. Okay, now, even at home you may read Ramayana, Mahabharata and Bhagavata. Ramayana is easy to read. Okay, now, many of you, almost all of you can understand. Mahabharata not that easy. Bhagavata very difficult. Okay, now, so a beginner should not start with Bhagavata. Okay, now, you start with Ramayana. So there is a level of a growth of a reader's mind. Yes, that's what we see here. Okay, flashy things. See, not that deep. Okay, shallow matters. In such cases, we can get the help of a deputy, okay, or assistant. So, reading can be different ways. There are some books which are to be read with care and attention. Okay, let us go on to the next paragraph. Reading maketh the full man. Yes, reading makes a man perfect. Conference a ready man means discussion, debate, makes him ready. And writing an excite man. When he is able to write what he reads, what he speaks, he becomes excite. Okay, annotation number 4, very important one. Let us study that. Reading maketh means makes. Maketh is old English. Olden times used to be like this. So let us go now. Makes. Reading makes full man. Conference a ready man. Ready. And writing an excite man. We are going to see what is meant by all the 3 phases. Just remember the annotation number 4. Reading maketh the full man, conference a ready man, and writing an excite man. And therefore, if a man writes little, yes, he had need to have great memory. If he writes only little, he needs to have great memory. We know in our practical life also, if you write down something, whenever we are in need of, we can refer that. Even writing itself, we will be able to remember in our mind. Once writing is equal to 5 times reading. Okay, now, if a man writes little, he needs to have great memory. Is it not so? Suppose when you are asked by your parents to go to the market or something and buy several things and do several activities, you won't be able to remember it in an order, proper order. But before starting from home, if you write them down, things to be purchased, for example, vegetables, etc., purchase heading, another things to be done in the office. Several things might be there. Go to, Panchayat office or village office, something like that. So you will be able to do things in a systematic way. Your time will not be wasted. Nothing will be forgotten too. Nothing will be forgotten if you write them down. So if a man writes little, he needs to have great memory to remember all these things. So writing is very important. So when you write, you are expressing things in a systematic way, written language, not simply telling something. Okay, now. So if a man writes little, does not write enough, it means that he needs to have great memory to remember. Okay, yes. And if he confer little, speaks, debates little, he has need to have a perfect wit. Some people can express things with a few words. Few words, more meaning. Some would be saying more words, little meaning. Okay, now. So a witty remark is enough to express a whole lot of things. More is meant than meets the eye. More is meant more meaning would be there than what is met by the eyes. Few words enough. With a few words, more meaning can be expressed with witty expressions, chiseled expressions, beautified expressions, ornamented, decorated expressions. One or two words, few sentences enough. So he must be witty enough to express his ideas with a few words. If he converses little, if he talks little, yes, he must have that ability. Then let us go on. And if he reads little, suppose a man, if he reads little, he had need to have much cunning and seem to know that he does not. Okay, he must be cunning enough. If he reads, see, reading makes a man perfect now. If his reading is less, he must be cunning enough to get things done. Which only means that reading is a must for everyone. So a man needs to have all three, not reading. You see, I mean reading, writing, all those things are necessary. It's a must also. So, once we read our important line, reading maketh full man. Reading makes a man perfect. Conference a ready man. Conference makes a man ready. And writing an excite man. With writing he becomes perfect or excite. Okay, now what does it mean? It means that if a man writes little, the meaning of it is that if a man writes little, he had need to have great memory. He must have a great memory to remember. And if he converses little, if he talks little, if he argues little, debates little, he must have then need to have present wit. His expressions should be witty enough. And if he reads little, suppose a man, his reading is very little, what happens? He needs to have much cunningness. So he must be cunning enough to express himself, get things done, not in the ordinary way. Which means that a man needs to have all the three abilities: reading, speaking and writing. A man needs to have all these things. So, reading, speaking and writing. The author means, what he means is that a man must read, speak and write enough to become a great man or perfect man. Once again, remember our foundation: reading maketh full man, conference a ready man, and writing an excite man. Okay, now I hope you have understood. Histories make man wise. Yes, if you study history, I mean any man would become wise. It is being told that histories will always repeat. History will always repeat. But history never repeats itself. It's a great meaning in that. Recollect what I said? History always repeats. Or history repeats itself. It means, what does it mean? There is a lesson to be learned from every lesson, lesson that we read from history. There is a lesson to be learned from every history that we study. But history will not repeat itself. It is not as it is repeated. But there is a lesson to be learned from history. So, history always repeats, but it never repeats itself. Is it clear to you? I hope you have understood. I doubt. Okay, histories make man wise. When you learn history, you get new lessons. How it happened, cause and effects and several things. So that knowledge makes a man wise. Yes, it will be repeated in future. But there is a lesson to be learned from that. Not as it is. Though it is repeated, but not as it is. Different way, it will be repeated. So history makes a man wise. Poets, witty. Study a poem, you become witty enough to express yourself with few words more meaning. Few words more meaning, not more words, little meaning. So, poets or poems make a man witty. The mathematics subtle, subtle not be silent, subtle. Mathematics makes a man subtle. How to get things done? I mean, easily or indirect way, it is subtle. In a way, simply, subtle means clever. Clever ways of getting things done. That is subtle. Clever ways of getting things done. Subtle. So, mathematics makes a man subtle. Natural philosophy, deep. If you study natural philosophy, your thinking, your expression, your ideas would become deep, not shallow. Moral lessons would make you grave. Grave is serious. You become serious if you study morals. And logic and rhetoric. See, then what? I mean, makes you able to contend. Makes you able to contend or argue. What is that? Logic. The science of reasoning. Systematic way of reasoning. Reasoning power you get. Is it not so? So man is a rational animal. Why? Because he can think reasonably. Man is a rational animal only because he can think reasonably. Yes, reasoning, power of reasoning, science of reasoning, art of reasoning. That is logic, logic. So in a way, method of argument also. See, find out, the cause and effects, reason, cause, etc. and argue in a systematic way. Rhetoric is arguing something very effectively. Rhetoric means what? See, study the art of speaking effectively. The art of speaking, there is a method to speak. The art of speaking effectively is rhetoric. I repeat, logic means art or science of reasoning. Okay, the science of reasoning. Rhetoric means art of speaking effectively. The art of speaking effectively is rhetoric. Okay, that is what. So, this reasoning means logic. Logic and rhetorics make a man able to contend. Means able to argue something in an effective manner. Debate, argue in an effective manner. You are made able, you are enabled to become, a man of reasoning and man of rhetoric. That means you are able to contend your things in an effective way. If you study what? Logic and rhetoric. So the uses of all these things. Repeat once again. Histories make man wise. You are made wiser by studying history. Poets witty. If you study poem, you become witty. I said no. Speak few words, more is meant. Not more words spoken and little meant. Just the opposite of that. Then mathematics subtle. If you study mathematics, you will be able to express your ideas in a subtle way, clever way. Okay. Natural philosophy makes a man deep knowledge, not shallow. Morals and moral philosophy makes a man grave. Logic and rhetorics makes a man able to contend. Yes, logic and rhetorics makes a man able to argue effectively, debate effectively, discuss effectively. So all these subjects are very important for every person, every individual, because each has its own benefits. Take the case of history, take the case of mathematics, take the case of logic. All these things are necessary. You study them properly, you get all these benefits. Okay, that is what he is trying to express through this essay. The benefits of study. The benefits of reading, how it is going to benefit you if you study history, for example, logic, for example, mathematics, for example. Study them all. You get whatever you are in need of. The benefits of studies. Francis Bacon is expressing in this essay or through this essay. Shall we continue? Okay, let us continue. Okay. Next line. Abund studia in mores. that is Latin, not English, which means studies determine character. Very important line now. Studies determine character. A man's character is determined by the studies he pursue or follow, what he studies, what he reads, what he has learned. It determines his character. See, you can understand that your nature naturally changes. Your habits would change, your character would change according to the subject you study, according to the books you read. Yes, if you study good books, if you read good books, indirectly they would, control you or influence you directly or indirectly. Those ideas would come to your mind. Your mind would be going through those ideas. But if you are reading not that good, something not good, even bad, your mind would be engaged in that kind of bad thoughts. Automatically your character would go bad. Not in a nice way, not in a proper way. So first thing is your thoughts now. How your thoughts come to your mind? Because of your reading. What kind of books you read? What kind of words you speak? What kinds of deeds you do? It comes from thought, mind, activity. Okay, na? So, what you read will influence you directly or indirectly. That is what? Okay, studies determine character. A man's character is determined by studies. That means the books he read, the knowledge he has got or acquired. So you can remember now, studies determine character. A man's character is determined by studies. Nay means no, like a speech argument. There is no stoned or impediment. Stoned means impediment. Impediment means obstacle, difficulty. Okay, in the wit, but may be wrought out by his studies. No impediment which can be brought out or made to grow by proper method of study or fit studies. Any obstacle can be removed in your nature, in your character by proper studies. If you are pursuing proper studies, you can grow, but you can remove any obstacle, any impediment, any difficulty also that we are going to see. By fit studies, proper studies, any difficulty, any kind of difficulty can be removed. Let us see how it is so. Yes, like a disease or like the diseases of the body may have appropriate exercises. For any disease of your body can be rectified by appropriate exercises. For example, bowling is good for stone and reins. Stone means kidney stone. Reins also means kidney. Okay, bowling is very good for some problems with your kidneys, etc. When you bowl your body, okay, would be so effectively moving, etc. It would be very good for your kidneys, etc. Okay, shooting for lungs and breast. Shooting is very good. Nowadays not there. Not that popular. Ancient times was very important. Okay, na? During the time of Bacon, etc. 15th, 16th centuries before. Shooting was very good for your lungs and breast. Gentle walking for stomach. Anyone used to do evening walk and morning walk during those times? It was the best passing, enjoyment, spending time with friends. They would walk together. It's good for your stomach. Very good exercise. Okay, nowadays you would go to yoga or gymnasium, etc. You are doing same thing in a different way. That's all. During that time it was not there, gymnasium and all. They would walk through the countryside, enjoy nature and talk a lot, express their ideas too, and they would walk kilometers. Nowadays no walking now. You never walk. Okay, from your house you only move in a AC car. From home to school, school to home. No walking, no body, no physical exercises, not at all. Nobody is pursuing that also. Okay, now anyhow walking is very good. It's a good exercise. Good for stomach, riding for the head, and the like. Riding, horse riding. Nowadays, not at all there. Nobody is going to ride a horse except for some cinema shooting and all. You never see these horses. Okay, now who uses horse nowadays? Not there. But ancient times it was there once upon a time. Now, take for example cycling. Very good, no? Very good exercise, cycling. Yes, very good. Okay, so every defect of the body can be rectified by some kind of physical exercise. In the same way, if a man's wit be wandering, man's mind be wandering, no concentration of mind. So if you go for yoga, it is not as it is beneficial, but slowly your concentration of mind will improve. No doubt. Your concentration of mind will improve because you are sitting quietly and concentrating on one thing and sitting there for a long time. Your concentration of mind will improve. Surely. Yes, in the same way, if a man's mind is wandering, let him study mathematics. You know, mathematics. Science of all sciences. So, let him study mathematics if his mind is wandering. You cannot find the solution of a problem in mathematics with thinking about something else. Exactly, you should concentrate on what you are doing. So, if you are studying mathematics, that concentration of mind will improve. Your wit will improve. You cannot, your mind will not be wandering. Let him study mathematics. Then, for in demonstrations, if his wit will be, called away, never so little, he must begin again. So, if his mind is not concentrating on something, he must repeat once again. If you do some mathematics problem, halfway your concentration is gone, you have to do from the beginning once again. From the start, from the scratch. Is it not so? So, he would slowly develop his concentration of mind if he studies mathematics. If his wit now apt to distinguish or find differences. Suppose a man's wit, his mind is not able to distinguish, differentiate or find differences. Let him study the schoolmen, means scholastics, means philosophy. Yes, let him study philosophy, for they are simony sectors, means hair splitters. That means, for example, a lawyer arguing, they would go into minutest detail and find out the pros and cons, and they would prove. Is it not so? They would make the witness and other people say what is in their mind. They would make them speak with many kinds of arguments. Hair splitters. That's what? Simony sectors. Okay. He is not apt to beat over matters and call upon one thing to prove and illustrate. If he is not able to prove and illustrate, what happens, sir? Let him study lawyers' cases. Let him study lawyers' cases. Okay, now a lawyer would do in such a way if he is not able to argue himself effectively. That's the meaning of it. If he is not able to prove himself effectively, let him study a lawyer's cases. Okay. So, whatever we have discussed in sum together, what's that? Every defect of the mind may have a special receipt. Every defect of the mind can be cured by a kind of study, a kind of special subject. If you study a subject, your mind will be rectified. The problem of your mind can be rectified. Is it not so? The difficulty of your body can be rectified by, improved by certain exercises. In the same way, every defect of the mind can be rectified by proper study. The summary of the last paragraph, all the mathematics, all those things, what the author means is that as every defect of the body can be rectified by proper exercises, Every defect of the mind can be rectified by proper study. Recollect what I said just now? As we know that every defect of the body can be rectified by proper exercises. Every defect of the mind can be rectified by proper study according to the subject that you select. According to the subject that you select. Accordingly, any defect of the mind can be rectified. That is summary of the last paragraph. I hope you have understood. Study the annotations all, especially some books can be, tasted, then read wholly, or lastly, the word chewed and digested. Then reading maketh a full man, conference ready man, writing a fit man, writing, exiled man. And the last part, at the end of the essay, the author narrates or expresses that as every defect of the body can be rectified by proper exercises, every defect of the mind can be rectified by proper study. Once again, read the text, all of you. Study annotations too. Read, the exercise given at the end of the lesson. And I told in the first lesson itself, I expect everyone to write at least one annotation, one short answer from every lesson in the notebook, so that I can check you later when we meet, directly in the class. Okay, now? I hope all of you will study. We will meet in the next video. Thank you.